got a little tough for a little while. So I'm excited to get back into it. I'm excited to get my girls into it. And I'm excited to talk about what it is to be a mom and to do this because like you said, there's not a lot out there for moms and how to balance it and how to juggle it and how to keep life rolling and still do what you need to do. So,
oh, you got her, dude. She's down. Let's go.
Dude, I just shot a deer of a lifetime.
Freaking smoked him.
One with nature, and if you're a believer, one with God.
Definitely gets your heart pumping. Boy, you are in trouble.
Fall Obsession Podcast.
All right, everybody, welcome back to another Fall Obsession Podcast episode. Our Fall Obsession Podcast is driven by the fine folks over at Ridge Rock Hunt Company, and I will talk more about them later on at the close of our episode. I'm Sam, once again, your podcast host, back on here for another Monday morning episode, joined by one of our own field staffers and wife of one of our regional staff coordinators also, Miss Heather Sellon. Heather, welcome back to the podcast.
thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Excited to have you back on here. For our listeners who may not have caught the previous episodes or might be wondering, Heather was on the podcast previously with that Midwestern crew that we have out there, kind of through the United States Midwestern region. They went on a snow goose hunt earlier in the year, several staff members together. We kind of debriefed and unpacked that hunt in an awesome and very casual conversation over the course of a couple episodes. It's 97 and 98. If you want to go back and listen to those two episodes, highly recommend it. It's a good group that you and Todd got out there. So always fun to hear the stories and just to get you guys together.
Yeah, it was that was a pretty fun trip to go on. Really my first hunting trip that I've gone on with my husband. All of the rest of it has been he goes on a lot of the hunting trips, but I stay home with the kids. It's what works for us. I do the hunting locally or within a short drive. So it was really fun to be able to get away, not have the kids with us, and to hang out with that gang. It's just a absolutely amazing gang to hunt with. Looking forward to getting back with them end of the month to go do some bow fishing down with Delaney down in southern Indiana. So can't wait to get back with our group.
Absolutely. Yeah, fun group for sure. We've had bits and pieces of them kind of spread out together on the podcast. I know Tyler and Andy and Delaney recently as well have all come on for individual episodes, and now we're getting you on here. And I don't know how these episodes will fall in our publication schedule, but following this one, we'll have actually Todd on here for one too, getting you guys on kind of one-on-one as well. But kind of the subject matter and some of the stuff we wanted to get into today, we had this hunt, and you alluded to it just now, how it was refreshing and enjoyable for you to be able to get to go do something new in the hunting world, and kind of kid free and enjoy that aspect of it. But I'm pretty open about it. Todd sent me a message kind of talking about how you and he would be interested in maybe getting you on here to kind of talk about some of the challenges in general, but then that you yourself have faced with just kind of juggling a busy schedule, juggling being a mom and raising kids, and yet trying to hunt and actually get something out of hunting and enjoy hunting at the same time. And not something that I think we've ever really touched on with this podcast, because it seems like most of the guests that we have, or the female guests at least, are kid free for the most part. So it's a new avenue for us to explore, and I hope that there's some other hunting moms out there listening to this podcast that can kind of hear your side of it. So kind of just to start, I guess, would be tell us how you got into hunting in the first place.
Yeah, so I was not raised in a hunting family whatsoever. It wasn't until I started dating Todd that I started to have a little bit of interest in it. I went out one time with him, and it was a absolutely beautiful fall day. And he got a doe, and I was hooked at that point. I was like, I want a bow. So for Christmas that year, he got me a bow. Again, this is before we had kids and newlyweds. And so a lot of our vacations were going around. We'd go to some Reinhardt 100s. So those would be our vacations. So we'd maybe catch a baseball game, shoot. Our bows a couple days. We would do a lot of like dates to the local 3D archery courses, and that worked for us, and it was a lot of fun, and it was really a great experience for us, getting to know each other, early in our marriage. So that's really how I got into it. I was not raised with it whatsoever. As life progressed and we had kids, it got a lot more complicated for me. Having the children around puts a whole nother level. I coach 2 sports. I'm a varsity coach. Actually, for a while, I was coaching 2 varsity sports. We have a farm that I really manage, and hunting has been, it kind of got a little tough for a little while. So I'm excited to get back into it. I'm excited to get my girls into it. And I'm excited to talk about what it is to be a mom and to do this, because like you said, there's not a lot out there for moms, and how to balance it and how to juggle it and how to keep life rolling and still do what you need to do. So that's kind of like my little backstory of how I got into it, and COVID definitely got me back into it, and excited to share some of the stories of Todd and I as we kind of traveled this and help. He's been amazing at helping me figure out how to best juggle it and make it so it's enjoyable for me.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I don't know. It's so interesting because we've talked to so many guests that have been either on the air or off the air, whatever it might be, but they've alluded to how much COVID has actually increased their hunting opportunities. Which I mean, say what you want about the state of things and how things have been for the past couple of years, but for a lot of people, it's opened new doors and new opportunities to get outside and get in the woods, which is pretty awesome to see. So tell us a little bit about kind of how that transition happened during that time frame, and how you have learned to manage it, because you've already said, your mom, you have two daughters, you have a farm, and then I don't know if we've even mentioned it yet, but aside from coaching, you're also a teacher, I believe, you and Todd both. So
Yep.
I mean, that in and of itself is a busy schedule. How have y'all learned to so passionately bring hunting into your lifestyle?
I think going back to when we first had the kids, Todd and I were talking about it actually last night. And I said, when we first had the kids and I was into hunting, I would come in from a timeout hunting, and he would just bombard me with questions. And I'm already tired. I'm already run down. And as a young mom, I took it as, especially because I wasn't bringing home a deer like he was, and I felt like I was failing, even though it was his attempt to try to troubleshoot and try to help me get one. I didn't take it like that. I took it as, I'm doing this wrong, and I'm doing this wrong, and I'm doing this wrong, and I'm doing this wrong. And I pretty much gave it up. Once COVID hit and I got the bow back out, we actually picked up upland bird hunting. We got a bird dog, and I realized how important it was to us, and I realized how it was going to be on my terms this time. And we've had some really great conversations about what that would look like. There's times that he'll look at me and be like, hey, you need to go out into the field. Whether you get one or not, you need to go out. There's other times where I look at him and I say, nope, I can't do it today. I've got too much to do around the house. And he understands that and respects that. But we're also now at the point where our kids are starting to go out with us. And I think that has definitely made a huge change in being able to take the kids out and not be at home watching the two kids, and to be able to bring them out and enjoy and experience the hunting part with us. The other part that we've started to do, which kind of goes into the goose hunt, is we're looking for hunting seasons that fall kind of outside our busy times of life. So like the goose hunt falls in between when I'm coaching basketball and when I'm coaching track. And so it's a natural one for me to be able to go into. The pheasant hunting, checker hunting, being able to go and do some of that falls, for the most part, like we have a lot of flexibility of when we can do that. I tend to do more early deer season because of it falls before basketball season, and actually he's out reffing football, so I get to go out a little bit more for that. So we're just really trying to figure out what seasons work for both of us. You know, I'm bummed I want to go on the crane hunt, but I'm still in school, he's off of school, so he gets to go on that one. And it's just figuring out what works for our family, and it doesn't work for everyone else's family. And I think people have to realize that that's okay. Like how you do it and what it looks like. If it works for your family and your kids, go with it. Go with it. Your story does not have to look like everyone else's.
Right. Yeah, that's absolutely huge. And, you know, that especially with hunting, there's so many personalities, and I don't know the best way to describe it, but I mean, it seems like we talk almost every podcast now about how everything's in the palm of your hand, you know, as far as the hunting world that you can access on your phone and everything. And there's just this persona across the board of what hunting looks like from the outside looking in, and and you're spot on when you say it doesn't have to be like that for everybody, and absolutely not. It's unique to each and every person. I know I'd love to see my wife get out there and hunt more with me, and she's gone on some hunts and stuff, but we have two kids younger than y'all, so it's you know, we're in that window of, you know, where it's more challenging, as you're well aware. So I look forward to the future when you know, we can hopefully kind of break that barrier, and they can start tagging along a little bit more and be a little bit more involved, be more of a family thing. So
yeah, it's fun to watch the kids now, when Todd comes back and has gotten one, and I don't even have to help gut the deer anymore. Like they fight over it. And Tala wants to be a vet, so she's going through and she's naming all the parts and identifying everything. And to watch that for me as a mom, and watch the bond that has developed between my husband and his two girls, I think is so powerful. It's more important than any size antler that he could bring home, is to watch that bond of like my husband teaching the kids about the outdoors, and being able to witness it. And I mean, I'm part of it too, but there's just something special about watching it with a dad and his daughters. You know, and we were in that point where you're at with with your kids. It was more important for us. I mean, we eat a lot of venison. That is the staple of the meat that we eat. And it was more important for us to have, and you said we are crazy busy. It was more important for us to have that venison in the freezer than to necessarily have both of us out there hunting. And I knew that Todd was going to get it down. He was going to get the deer down quicker, and more often than I was. And so to be able to say to him, nope, I need you to go out, because guess what? We have one deer in the freezer right now. We need more. That's how we rolled for a few years. But I am excited for you to be able to get your kids out there as they grow up and get older, and to make those memories.
yeah, absolutely. Same here. So as far as so hunting around there and that kind of thing, you mentioned, COVID has been the chance to get back into it. You're working around your teaching schedules. It certainly sounds like there's very little downtime between it all, and then on top of it all, and I'm sure we'll hear more from him in the following episode when I record with him. But Todd doing all the work that he does for us too, is more on top of that. But the y'all are, as you mentioned, you're starting to branch out and even look at some of these hunting opportunities in other locations. The snow goose hunt being one. You mentioned the fishing trip and other stuff that's coming up here pretty soon. What we'll just go into that a little bit more. How does that add to the experience or different than? And I say that in that, hunting around your farm in y'all's neck of the woods, that's what you've known, that's what you've been comfortable with. Speaking as somebody who still primarily hunts close to home, but used to only hunt close to home, it's intimidating to branch out and do something like that the first couple times. What has that done for you or for him, y'all, as a hunting family?
The confidence. I mean, I was nervous going into the goose hunt, without question. I was very nervous going into the goose hunt. I mean, I'm much more confident and comfortable with my bow than I am with a gun, although I've become much more comfortable with it. But it's still, the bow is where I am the happiest. And so to be able to go and join a group, and I didn't know them. Like, I didn't know Andy. I didn't know Tyler. I didn't know Delaney. I knew my husband, and I know how intense he can get with hunting, but I also knew he was out of his comfort zone. So for me to go out and just to meet so many other people and to realize that there are a lot of people out there just like us, trying to fit it in, trying to make it work, not having a ton of extra money to do it, but to make it exciting for us. I think that has been for me the most exciting and refreshing part of it. And every time I go out, I'm just meeting new people and making that network even bigger. And Todd's pretty fearless when it comes to that. So I think the networking part and just making that hunting, making my hunting family bigger. Todd's always had a pretty significant one, but to make that bigger, make it besides just him for me, I think has been really, really important. Because like you said, all my hunting is same as you've been, very, very local. So to be able to branch out, there's definitely, I'm usually a pretty confident person, but to branch out outside of my comfort zone has been good for me.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's good for everybody, and I'm the first one to be reluctant to change and reluctant to branch out like that, but sometimes it's necessary. I think even the last time I had him on the podcast, Drew even mentioned that I was hesitant to start the podcast a couple years ago, and here we are 110 plus episodes in, whatever it might be. But so, and we might have already kind of touched on a little bit, but before we get into more just some advice for others, you and Todd, you kind of gave us the timeline how y'all started hunting together, and it was strong, it was fun, and then when kids came into the scene, kind of it became harder, and because it was harder, it wasn't as fun, and then when COVID hit, of course, kids are getting older, you were able to kind of make it more fun again. What made it more fun? How is it more fun now? What was, and again, I know we've kind of already touched on this a little bit, but in your mind, what was the moment that you decided, hey, I'm going to give this another shot?
I think when I finally gave myself the grace to realize that my story didn't have to look like everything else I saw on social media. For me, it's not about bringing home a big buck. Like, if I do, great, but I'm not that's not going to be consuming of me. I'm not to not get caught up in I need to have so many likes or so many follows, that I can just create a story that's uniquely ours. And honestly, I don't think it's even that unique to a lot of the moms that are out there. It's I'm not, I don't. Yes, a big buck is awesome, and yes, a big buck is going to get a lot of likes, and especially when it's a really pretty girl that's got that big buck, it's going to be all over. But for me, it's we've got to get food on the table. We've got to teach my kids how to be outdoors women. We need to teach them how to safely handle firearms and how to shoot bows. So I think for me, when I realized that it was completely okay to not have to look like everyone else, to not have to go out and just chase those big bucks. I mean, yes, of course, I want one, but to enjoy the journey and just to let myself enjoy the journey. I was thinking about this. I've coached basketball for, oh gosh, 14, 15 years now, and track for almost 20 years now. And I've had the privilege to win a lot of trophies with sports, as both as an athlete and as a coach. And we tell the kids all the time, like, it's the journey. Yes, it's exciting to bring that trophy home, but it's the journey to get that trophy that's so exciting. And one of my favorite hunting stories, I never even shot a gun or shot a bow. And it was Todd got a really nice deer off of our property, probably our last really nice buck off our property several years ago. And it was our first opportunity it was a new food plot, and we brought the tree stand out, and he was going to put it in one tree. And I looked at him, I said, nope, I want it in this tree. And I don't know why, other than it's on the property that I grew up on. So I'm pretty familiar with where the deer go. And he's like, okay, let's put it there. And it was the first time that he had let me choose the stand, or the tree that we're going to put the stand in. And I went over to take care of the horses probably within the next like 2 to 3 days. And there was this buck, and it literally froze me. I saw it and I didn't move, ran back, got my camera, and because I didn't have binoculars with me, was able to see him, kind of see where he was traveling, where he was going. And then that was, I want to say, like on a Tuesday, Wednesday, Saturday morning. So Friday night, Todd was like, hey, one of us needs to go out Saturday morning into that stand. The wind's going to be right. And I said, go put him down. And it was 15, 20 minutes after daylight that he was able to get that buck down. And it was so much fun for us. Like, he really did the food plot. I did the stand. I was able to pattern him leading into it. And everything that I had told him was, what was exactly how he showed up, and he was able to put it down. And for me, that is one of my favorite stories, because we were able to do that together as a couple. Yeah, it was a nice buck, not an overly huge buck, not one that's going to win any kind of award or any kind of, like, you wouldn't get measurements on it. But to us, that one hangs in our living room and is a very important one to us, because it was our buck that we got together. And like I said, I never even shot a gun or shot a bow. But that, he gives me just as much credit for that buck as I give to him for putting it down.
That's awesome. Very, very cool. So I know we're approaching kind of our time limit for today, but to kind of summarize, in the form of some advice, what advice do you have for other moms out there, other women that might be in a similar boat, a similar phase in life as you yourself, but yet they see their husband or another family member, or they're interested in hunting and that kind of thing? What advice do you have for them if they're trying to find the time?
my best advice is to take a look at your own schedule and see when you have some time where you can fit some of it in. And it may be 15 minutes, it may be an hour. Um, for us, a lot of it is in the summer, whether we get some extra fishing in or we hit the 3D archery trails. That works for us. And then not to hold yourself to any of the industry standards of you've got to get this massive buck. It's okay if you go out and you don't get anything. Just going out there into the woods is so important for our mental health. It's so important as we model for our kids that not every time you don't get one every time you go out. Although my children seem to think my husband's going to get one every single time, and they give it to him harder when he comes home empty-handed. But I think they're brutal. They're brutal to poor Todd. But I think it's important that they just enjoy getting outside, whether it's fishing, whether it's shooting their bow, whether it's, taking photographs. But find what is relaxing to them, find what's enjoyable to them, and then start with that. And then, fit it into your schedule. And from there, be able to branch back out. For me, it was, I got my bow back in my hand and I realized, yep, this is something I'm interested in doing. And then I was able to find a pheasant hunt for Todd's birthday in February. And we went to a preserve and we got done with that. And we looked at each other and said, yep, we need to do more of this. And it works. It works for us. And I just hope other moms can find what works for them, and enjoy it. Don't let it be. If it's too much of a stress, you need to stop. You need to find something else. It does not need to be stressful.
Absolutely. Very, very well said. Well, Heather, is there anything else that we could hit or cover that you'd like to add on top of our conversation before we head toward closing?
No, I think we covered a lot. I'm excited for this next upcoming bow season because both my oldest is taking hunter safety, so we're gonna get her out there for the first time. So we're excited about that new chapter in our lives. I think this is going to be as we've evolved as parents and hunters. This is a whole new chapter for us. Todd didn't get into it till he was in his teens. I didn't get into it until I was in my 20s. So to have a child, she'll just turn 12 when hunting season starts here in Michigan. So to have her go out and to be part of it, and legitly be looking for a deer for her is something I'm really excited about.
That's gonna be awesome. I've heard so many parents say, once your kid starts hunting, it's just as rewarding, if not more rewarding, to watch them succeed or watch the passion develop in them than any hunt that you could go on. And I look forward to here in just a couple years being able to start to experience that myself. And it sounds like, obviously you guys are right at the verge of being in all that. So that's awesome. So
yeah, we got a glimpse of it a couple weeks ago when we went, I think it was 2 weeks ago when we went on the we finally took our youngest on her first charter fishing trip. We weren't sure how. Our Piper is very sassy and can be handsful, and she does everything she can to stay stride by stride with Big Sister. And she thinks she's like as good as Big Sister in every area. So we were a little nervous to take her out on the boat, but she did fantastic. So I'm excited to also get her out a little bit. Obviously, she's only 7, so she's got a little ways to go. But no, it's unreal to watch them. When I saw Tala actually got the biggest fish on the trip. She got a almost 5-pound walleye. And we've also learned that we've maybe created a little bit of monsters with them because they'll trash talk and compete with the best of us. And I guess when you have two parents who were college athletes, that it's going to come with a little bit of the territory. But no, just watching, that was just such a glimpse of it, to watch her pull in that walleye, and the light and the fire and excitement that she had. I mean, it was absolutely amazing. And so I can't wait till she gets her first deer, no matter what it is, to see how excited she's going to be. And then to watch her be able to, because she's going to be able to, not only put that deer on the ground, but be able to gut it and work on the processing piece of it. That she's got to learn that a little bit more. But I mean, she's going to be able to take this deer from, field to table herself. And I'm just so proud of that she's going to be able to do that.
That's awesome. Very, very, very cool, and I'm excited to get to see it too from our perspective, because I know that you guys will, y'all are very passionate about sharing your adventures and sharing content to the Fall Obsession family as well. So it's from as much as we can, it's going to be cool to experience it with y'all and watch that happen. I'm looking forward to it. So, well, to kind of wrap it up, and I know I mentioned when we had those podcasts, I talked about at the very beginning, the last time you were on here with the Midwestern crew. Normally whenever we have somebody on the podcast for the first time, we have a couple questions we like to ask them before we wrap it up. I wasn't going to do it with that crew because knowing that crew, it would never end. It'd be a 5-hour podcast episode. But and for all I know, you might have already even talked about or mentioned it. But just real quick, what's your favorite hunting memory? And tell us a little bit about it.
Besides the one I shared with my husband, hands down, that goose hunt in Missouri.
Awesome. That
was an epic trip. I mean, any trip that Andy's on is going to be fantastic. I mean, he's awesome. And there's no person that's going to make you feel like family more. Tyler, Delaney, are just absolutely amazing. So I'm really, really, really excited to get back with them and to create more memories of those trips, because that goose hunt, I cannot wait to next March. I am so excited to do that again. So hands down, our Missouri goose hunt with the Midwest crew.
That's awesome to hear, for sure. And again, for our listeners, that's 97 and 98 on our podcast episodes. You can go back and listen to those. I agree. Any time that you get to spend with Andy Meeks is a hoot and a holler. He's actually in Texas right now, and I'm actually going to go have dinner with him tonight. So I'm super, super excited to get to hang out with Andy tonight. So hadn't gotten to do that in a couple years. But
oh, I'm jealous, and you're going to have a lot of laughs.
Oh yeah, it's going to be a very good time for sure. All right, last question I'll ask you, because you're branching out, going on more, looking for these opportunities. You guys that line up with your schedules that are kind of outside those comfort zones. What's at the top of the bucket list as far as something that you want to do that you haven't gotten to do yet in the hunting world?
Oh gosh. I would love to go on a caribou hunt.
Yes.
That would be, ideally, that is what I want to do. I feel like I'll probably, moose and elk are up there as well, but to do a caribou would be just the absolute pinnacle.
Yeah.
Of hunting for me. Todd's tried to get me on bear hunts. Not quite ready for that. But to get a caribou, yes, that without question, that was my top choice.
That's awesome. If any of our listeners have been a long time listener, I'm sure you've heard me say by now that that's top of my list for sure, is a caribou hunt. So I don't know, maybe we just got to have a Fall Obsession trip to go caribou hunting. Just a bunch of people spend a bunch of money all at once and get it over with.
Yes, and we got to make sure Andy can go too.
Yep. Even if he doesn't have a tag, I'll bring Andy just for entertainment, just to keep us motivated. So.
Yes, please.
Well, Heather, it's been good to sit down and get you on here and talk to you a little bit about this stuff. I enjoyed the conversation. I'm sure it won't be long again before we have you and or Todd, the whole crew, whatever it might be, back on here. So I'm sure you guys will be regulars on the podcast moving forward. So appreciate you coming on. It's been awesome talking to you.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
You bet. For our listeners, real quick as we close, fallobsession.com is our website. That's where you guys can go to find all of our content. We cover hundreds of different topics in different forms in the hunting world. Wild game recipes, educational articles, video series, other forms of media. You can find them all on our website as well as our online store. Pick you up some apparel. We are trying to combat the rising costs in today's world and giving you guys a $10 deal of the week. We pick a different apparel item every week to mark down to $10 and sell it to you guys at that discounted price. So head on over to fallobsession.com, explore around, pick you up a hat or a t-shirt. All the major social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, we're on there. Go look up Fall Obsession, give us a follow and a like. We're also on the Go Wild app, which is a censorship-free app for hunters and outdoorsmen. We recommend you guys getting on there. It's free, and they got a pretty cool reward system going on there. Our podcast is on all major podcast platforms. Be sure you follow and subscribe wherever you might be listening. We're also on the Waypoint TV app, which is a streaming service for hunting shows and podcasts and stuff. So be sure you go check out Waypoint. We're also on YouTube. Our YouTube channel is Fall Obsession. Go follow, subscribe, turn on your notifications. We got some cool videos in the works, including our season 2 of our Texas Dirt series. So looking forward to sharing that with you guys. Be sure you follow and subscribe. Last but not least, Ridge Rock Hunt Company, Derek and Lacey out there in Mississippi. They're very good friends of ours that we've gotten to know, just some good down-to-earth people over the past couple years. They book hunts. They are kind of a third-party booking service for outfitters across the entire United States and North America, Canada, Mexico, all sorts of different places. So be sure that you guys, if you're looking for a hunting adventure, you want to get outside that comfort zone like we talked about today, give Derek a call. He might be able to help find something for you that works within your budget, and all of his outfitters are vetted and trusted by him personally, so he guarantees a good experience. That's Ridge Rock Hunt Company. Go check them out on their website and on social media. Heather, thank you again. Enjoyed it.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Thank y'all for listening, and we'll be back again next week with Todd, actually, Heather's husband, for another Fall Obsession podcast episode. We will catch you then.